to talk about scams. Now, I'm not going to talk about how your car warranty is expired, and I'm glad to finally reach you. Although, now that I have... No. What I'm talking about specifically is a very well-intentioned scam. I'm talking about Follow Fridays, Riders Lift, anything that is a, if you do this for me, I will do this for you. Which is basically, I will subscribe. If you subscribe to me, I will follow you. If you follow me, I will post your book. If you post my book, it's a scam. And the reason why I say that, so but wait, hang on. Before you get your pitchforks out and come for me on that, because you may be just participating in a Follow Friday, I have been for 4 years. And you can tell that by looking at my Twitter. Now think about it this way. Do I have over 900 people that I am interested in learning about on a daily basis? No, I don't. I don't care about that many people. My brain space doesn't have enough room for that many people to engage with 900 people individually every single day. It just doesn't. But I follow over 900 people on Twitter. And the reason for this is pretty much solely because of Follow Fridays. I would say out of those 900, there's probably like 100 that I know who they are. And out of that 100, there's probably about 50, maybe, that I know a decent amount about, that I really respect them, and I care, and I'm interested in what they're saying and what they're doing. That leaves a whole shit ton of people that I don't even know who are on my Twitter, but I follow them. That's what follow does, whether it's on Twitch, which, hey, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/redbeardflynn. YouTube, here, subscription for subscription. I don't actually know if that's a thing on YouTube yet. Please don't make it a thing if it isn't yet. Let's leave it as is. But it definitely happens in the writing community on Twitter. And what happens with it is you create this sense of we're this big writing community. We're all here to help and uplift each other. And that's a great, wonderful thing to think about. But it's kind of bullshit. And I say that as a longtime participant in it. The reason why I say it's kind of bullshit is because when you are a content creator, whether that's something on YouTube, Twitch, or a writer, you are still creating content. You are creating content to be consumed by other people. You are looking for an audience. You are looking for people who will be receptive to the work that you put into it. And as a writer, you all know how much work goes into it. It is a shit ton of work. And that's why everybody's trying to help, because they know. They know what it's like. But you're not finding an audience. Authors read. It's very true, we all read. But the chances of me reading a book from that one of those 900 people is pretty slim. Not talking about costs or anything like that, because most of these books are going to be at some point free, 99 cents, $2.99. It's all things you can do very easily. You can also get review copies all the time. What I'm talking about is time. As a writer, you are at a premium for your time. Writing, drafting, editing, it's marketing. It's all very time consuming. It takes up so much of your brain space, so much of your time. But then you also have to read. Because if you don't read, you're probably going to be a really shitty author. So there's a freaking tip, right? If you want to be an author, fucking read. Do it because you have to. If you're not, writing's probably not for you. But you're probably going to read the things that you either write or the things that you are interested in yourself. If you can't tell by all the shirts that I wear in these videos, I like fantasy and science fiction. I also write fantasy and science fiction. So if I'm given some free time to read something, I'm probably going to read some fantasy and science fiction. Are those 900 people all fantasy and science fiction authors? No, they're not. There's romance authors, horror authors, suspense, you know, all kinds of authors are on there because it's just like one person is like, hey, follow this author, or another person like, follow this author, and they'll follow you. Do you think I'd check? No. Do you think most people check? No. There may be some that screen who they're following, and props to them if they do. That's a great thing, because you don't have to go through the great purge like I'm going to have to eventually and trim down that list to not much. But the whole point I'm trying to get here is you're not going to find people who will read your book. You're not going to find people who will engage with your tweets. You're not going to find people who will help you on a personal level, because they just can't. They're all trying to do the same thing you are. And when you have a feed full of 900 people, your shit's just getting lost and their shit's getting lost in yours. It's not going to work out the way you want it to work out. So the question is, why? Why would an author get these hollow follow numbers? If it's not going to help build a community, if it's not going to help them build an audience, if it's not even going to help them get writing tips, why do it? So the first reason is basically a fear of missing out type thing, right? So you think of, well, this author has this following, so they must be a good author. I have 700 something followers on Twitter, so I must at least be doing something right. No, all my followers are pretty much bullshit. They are not in any way representative of my success as an author. That's kind of how it goes. But that is definitely a thing in the thought process that happens, where you think it's almost like we're in a free way purchasing clout. By following others, you are getting some of that clout. But that clout is crap. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't translate into anything. It does not translate into sales. It doesn't translate into engagement. Nothing. It's useless. So then there's reason number 2. And this reason to me sounds more like a myth than even the first one. What people have said, Twitter, Discord channels, whatever, is that you have to have a certain number of followers in order to be looked at by a literary agent or by a publisher. Now, part of the reason for this obviously stems from the fact that publishing now, a lot of that's gonna, all the advertisement and marketing and things like that, it's all gonna come back on you. Unless you're James Patterson, you know, because publishing is in such a way that they're kind of just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. And there's some terrifying statistics about how most of the profit of a publisher is done by like their top few percent of authors. So even if you get a publishing deal, it's not like you've made it. It doesn't mean you've made it. That means that you have found something that someone thought might be marketable. But they're kind of putting the cart before the horse here, right, in this argument. So it's what they're saying is it's not your writing that would get you the publishing deal, but the amount of people you have engaged with on social media. I guess the idea of that would be you are already proficient in marketing enough to get that much of a following. My question about that is, if you're already that proficient in marketing that way, why do you need a publisher? Because what are they going to do that you're not already doing? No one picks a book based on their publisher. But this still persists that an agent is not going to look at you if you have 10 followers. That's 10. That was 5. It's 10. 10 followers on Twitter. And there may be some truth to that. There may be a kernel in there. Maybe if your writing is similar to another writer and that writer has shown engagement and that they are looking at and focusing on marketing as a very important part of their strategy, that might show that to at least that agent or publisher that there's less work to do with this one person. I know when I first launched Rise, I had no marketing plan whatsoever. Zero. Marketing to me has been the most difficult part of writing. And I say that without any joke or thing behind it. It is literally the hardest thing for me when it comes to this. Partially because for 2 years after launching Rise, I was still very cagey about it. I didn't want to tell people about it. I thought I was annoying them by talking about it. So I used Twitter as my platform because Twitter was where I was, felt safe to, like, if you're following me on Twitter, it's because you want to know shit about my writing, right? So it's difficult. Marketing is difficult. And there could be some connection between doing the work beforehand and then getting the publishing or agent deal, right? But if you have good writing, that's what's going to draw them to you, not the number of Twitter followers. Because I mean, the whole idea of your social media presence somehow being the way that you land a deal seems so counterintuitive to how it's supposed to work. And if that is the way it works, we're all kind of fucked. The idea is your writing should be your pitch. You can garnish it with a social media following. But if we go back to these numbers right here, you don't think that a literary agent or a publisher is going to know what this means? You don't think they're going to do the math? That they're going to look at the ratio of follower to followed? It's so easy to see. Now, if I had 700 followers and 20 that I followed, that's a very different thing. That means that I actually have probably an audience, right? At least somewhat of an audience. You're not getting what you want out of it from doing follow for follow in the first place. Because it is very clear when you're doing that. And the reason I say that's a scam is because when there's anything that says you're doing it for free, which this is a follow for a follow, it's free. You don't have to do anything. You just click a button. There's gonna be a catch. And there's a pretty big one with this. That's why I would urge you, don't follow people you don't care about. If you're being lumped into Follow Fridays, vet them. Are they people that you find interesting? Don't just feel the need because you're new and starting out that you have to follow everyone. Don't make the mistakes that I've done, because you're gonna have to purge the shit like I'm gonna have to purge the shit. And it's gonna upset people. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say is avoid follow for follow, because it's not gonna get you where you want to go. All that said, you can still like and subscribe here. That's not a scam. Or is it?